Have you ever felt like a mandatory everyday system update is actually designed to rewrite your personality? This is the invisible wire Evan is starting to notice at his high school. His father taught him a foundational rule about these manipulative forces. They are bound by cosmic laws that prevent them from using direct physical force against you. Because they cannot force your hand, they rely on two specific mental states to succeed. They need their targets to either remain completely ignorant of the trap or be so utterly paralyzed by terror that they stop making choices altogether. Surviving a hidden spiritual war begins the moment you recognize you are standing on a battlefield. To protect his mind before he even leaves for school, Evan follows a morning protocol his father calls a spiritual firewall. It functions like a procedural defense for the subconscious. The protocol begins with identity and alliance. Evan first reminds himself he is a soul in training, here to learn rather than just exist. Then he actively calls on his conscience and his creator, higher allies he trusts to anchor his thoughts. Evan visualizes a specific filter. Notice how manipulation, represented by external arrows, deflects off the boundary, while wisdom passes through to the core. He finishes by stating a clear intention. Stepping onto the bus, the ambient, vibrating anxiety in the air suddenly quiets behind this hard mental barrier. This sovereignty over the mind grows through the daily, disciplined application of focused will. At school, the atmosphere is thick with a new kind of pressure, testing Evan's firewall immediately. The administration has launched its newest weapon, the Mindset.me app, featuring an animated mascot named Mindy. The app is a vehicle for soft possession, a state where your thoughts feel like your own, but they're actually guided by a background script. This behavioral loop bypasses free will. An algorithmic nudge suggests how to feel. Compliance earns gamified rewards, triggering a more specific nudge. Opting out triggers a concern flag, completely disconnecting the student from the school's social network. When rewards for compliance are high enough and the social cost of refusal is total isolation, students begin to compete for the very metrics used to monitor them. Against a threat hiding behind vague wellness slogans, Evan uses a countermeasure his father calls precision. There is a psychological law at work here. Undefined fear empowers a manipulator, but specific, targeted observation strips that power away. Evan keeps a field journal. He tracks when the hum spikes, the specific phrases teachers read, and subtle shifts in classroom murals. Meticulous documentation transforms a passive victim into a detective, reclaiming objective truth from a distorted environment. Evan's routine is interrupted by an anonymous text message. It warns, "You don't want that app on your mind. Meet me in the media lab. Come alone, bring the page." To mitigate the physical risk, Evan and his friends set up an operational safety net, an 8.5-minute timer. If he doesn't send a status check before it hits 0, they storm the room. Because isolation is the primary tool used to break an individual's resolve, a small, aligned community becomes a vital lifeline in a spiritual conflict. Standing alone in the deserted media wing, Evan faces a locked, windowless door as his natural fear begins to spike. Instead of retreating, he pauses to re-engage his firewall protocol on the spot, centering his intention and bracing his mental filter. The heavy lock clicks. The door cracks open, pulling him into a dark room and an uncertain confrontation. Spiritual defense is a continuous, moment-by-moment choice to keep your mind your own, regardless of what sits behind the next door.